what you're thinking. How did this happen? Well, it's a long story.
Are we doing Thor? Thor?
Thor, yes.
Thor.
Exactly.
So you guys have some thinking about Thor already.
Ooh, not yet.
Let's get in that Thor state of mind.
Yeah.
let's put our fingers into a power socket so we feel electricity just like he does. Let's get swole.
I was about to try and speak like Shakespearean shit, and it's not working.
Oh, Shakespearean shit. Forsooth.
There you go. Now you're speaking Thor's language.
Language. Heimdall.
Heimdall, Bifrost.
It's based on what, Norse? Or
Norse
Dutch?
mythology,
Okay.
yes.
Interesting.
Dutch.
Dutch mythology.
Dutch mythology?
Windmills and clogs. Welcome to another episode of Countdown to Infinity and Avengers podcast, Endgame Edition, Season 2. This weekend only. I feel like we're doing a car ad.
Yeah. That's what it sounded like.
End of the year sale. We have all these models. We got to get rid of them. You got to come down here.
Gigante. Sunday.
Do it like Rick from Rick. Jesus, Morty, we gotta sell these cars. We have too many cars. We can't keep them.
You got to do it like a podcast one. Do it like if he was
Okay,
talking about
here
this
we go.
podcast. There you go.
Well, welcome, guys. Welcome to Countdown to Infinity. It's a podcast. We talk about Avengers. I don't even. God, shit, Morty. Fuck, I haven't seen any of these movies, Morty. We gotta spend some time. We gotta go to the Redbox, Morty. You have a Redbox subscription? You got one? And Morty's like, "Oh, Rick, I don't have it. I don't have Redbox. You don't need Redbox. You can just go. You don't need a subscription. You just gotta go there and you put your money into the Redbox machine, Morty. You're like, you gotta have money. You have money, Morty. You got a good job.
Why do you keep...
Welcome to Countdown to Infinity.
So we're in danger of getting sued by
Dan Harmon.
Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland. If you guys are listening,
Open invite,
guys.
Open invite. So we have watched every single Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, starting from Iron Man all the way to Infinity War. That is all in our back catalog. So if you scroll down, you'll see those. Those started, I think, in December of 2017.
No, I think it started January
December 2017. It's crazy. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So it's been a year. You can listen to those if you want our reviews with guests about every single Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. But this go-round, this season, we're talking about these Karaks, these superheroes, where they are in their journey with Marvel, our favorite moments, the heroes, the sidekicks, the villains, all of that and more on today's episode featuring... Thor.
Odinson.
Odin's son. Is it Odin's apostrophe son or is it Odinson?
Odinson.
Interesting. So I guess I would be no dad's son.
Yes, I guess. Damn.
I now take from you your power. In the name of my father and his father before. I own it all, father. Cut you out! Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Let's try this Shakespeare thing. You guys want to talk Shakespearean? Nope, I'm already out.
You sounded like Wario, Waluigi. Wow!
I thought I was like a pirate or something.
Why did you have to rasp your voice?
Arrgh, here we be. Here there be monsters.
You must start believing in ghost stories.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
'Cause you're in one. Yeah.
Welcome back. We're talking about Thor this week. Thor, an interesting superhero because he is not of Earth.
Right.
Earth.
Interesting pick, too, because, I guess we will talk about Hulk eventually.
Yeah.
But, there's a reason we're talking about Thor first.
So this is
Hulk.
considered not Earth, where he's from. But there's a whole line of comic books and stories from
Nordic mythology.
right?
Is it really? Like, I guess some of these.
Yeah, these stories I'm sure predate the comics by a long shot.
Oh, the actual
obviously,
stories,
they
yeah.
they were obviously inspired by these
Yeah, so
for sure.
I guess you're right. Yeah, like the character of Thor is the most timeless character that we're talking about because he is inspired off of the actual, the actual
Norse
character.
god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the mythology character of Thor from Norse mythology.
He's got a base there.
Yeah, he just got a base there, and in that it's it does kind of follow like the entire. I mean, loosely, obviously, for the sake of like excitement and
Entertainment.
for a new
For some
for a new
pizzazz.
audience.
Yeah.
It does kind of follow the basics
Panache.
of Norse mythology when it comes to like his fellow gods and the nine realms, the
And-
Yggdrasil, the tree of life, and stuff like that.
The weapons they wield.
I think of all of them, he has the biggest family storyline. Yeah, because a lot of the other
huge
superhero huge family is going to be huge.
Yeah,
that was
huge
my
family.
Trump impression. It wasn't very good.
Huge.
Wall. Because out of all of them, I think he has a family. Has a lot of family drama, a lot of royal drama.
royal drama.
The Queen,
Almost like
Meghan
Game of
Markle.
Yeah, fighting the brother for the crown.
Let's talk about the first Thor film. What do you guys think? No, but so he also has a good trilogy of films. We talked about this on our Iron Man.
Does he have a good trilogy or just a trilogy?
He has a trilogy.
Yeah.
he has
he just
a
has a
trilogy
trilogy.
of all of them. Probably the most variety of different Thor films.
That's totally true.
Also,
I
the
guess,
most
yeah.
underwhelming, I think.
Oh, damn! Shots fired.
No,
from
no,
Andrew.
I will agree with Drew on there. It's probably the most. Thor Ragnarok obviously is a great movie.
Yeah,
but I don't.
for
I
sure.
don't exactly. I
The
guess
other
it does
two-
redeem the other two. I
just
guess. Yeah.
never found their footing. Like both of them wanted to be something very different.
But also, we talk about how Thor 2 was a big game changer in the way that they managed the story.
Oh, the actual like the
yeah.
entire because they introduced
All
the
the MCU.
Infinity Stones basically in that one. Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, Thor himself was already quite an invincible superhero, and when we were introduced to him, it was sort of the breaking down of his power and losing the
Right.
hammer
And it's a
coming to
giant
Earth to learn who he is.
A giant gamble too, because like I guess I've always thought of. I think I said this also too on the Thor episode. Like me, I'm not coming as a Thor fan into this movie. I was like, I didn't know what to expect.
Kind
Like,
of silly, right?
Yeah.
Are the comic books written in that language?
Yeah, Thor.
Norse.
Thor always talks like that for sure.
like he does talk like very like
It's
Victorian
not,
or like
it's
old
not something
Shakespearean.
different.
Yeah.
They usually use that to make him the butt of jokes, like the way Drax is or whatever in the Guardians movies.
That's what I figure. It seems silly reading.
Yeah, exactly. So he is one of the most different.
But they have other
Avengers.
characters that talk like him if they're like
Sure.
doing Asgard stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, he has that relatability, and that's what they use basically in the MCU is the family, where 'cause
Family.
everyone family Toretto.
Toretto.
So that he's
Everybody-
brash at
yeah,
first. Like
everybody
he's like
has-
reckless.
Everybody has that family. Everyone has that sibling that you had a rivalry with.
You guys are
which is-
siblings. Andrew, John, siblings.
Yeah,
are
John
siblings.
the Loki to my Thor.
Oh,
What the hell?
snap.
Yeah.
I thought it would the other way
Yeah,
around.
no, you're right. Yeah, I'm definitely more of the mischievous type.
Oh, where'd he go? Andrew's gone. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, peekaboo.
You're tickling me.
Tickle butt.
I think that's what's really special about Thor, and that's why I think it's great that he was included in the MCU so early. Is he is the first of all the MCU movies to be set outside of Earth.
Right. Like
And-
it introduces that intergalactic like element to it.
You know
in
what's
other
crazy
words.
is that to me he had a
Sorry
very
for like kind of interrupting here in this part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John's fucking pissed or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
He's
That's
covering our mouths and telling us to shut up.
shut the fuck up and let me talk. You know what's cool is that to me, like his outing was very underwhelming, but towards the end of like more recently, he's had like some really he's had some of the best moments in the MCU recently. Even almost looking like he might take up a leadership role to be maybe the one of the few first wave Avengers that
Survive from this,
that
yeah.
keep going.
And it's not like the films aren't becoming, they're more lighthearted, but they're definitely still just as dramatic. I mean, he has so much happen, and we'll talk about this later on in the arc, but so much happens that rests on his shoulders, and his soldiers.
Yeah.
But there's so much that Thor is going through. We see a lot of that in Infinity War, where he actually internalizes all of the craziness that
He's
Thor goes
lost a
through.
lot. He's gained very little.
Yeah.
So you really get to see
Except a personality and a sense of humor.
Yeah, exactly. You get to see what this character is made out of, and again, one of the strongest when they're Ace in the Hulk compared to the Hulk, and even in one of his movies, he's able to overcome the Hulk. So
Thor's a favorite for a lot of people. I think he's a really fun character.
people
to
love
see.
him because he's hot.
And he's hot, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
They
Let's
still
go
haven't
TT.
nailed down the. I feel like they still haven't nailed down the comic book Thor, but at this point, we're so far beyond that. Like that's okay, because like I think the closest thing to the comic book Thor is probably
Was
the
Dolph
first.
Lundgren back in the day?
boy.
Well, no, it's the first Thor movie because Ragnarok. I mean, is obviously not that comic character at all. Like it's a really really cool interpretation that I think works for what we're given.
It only works with Taika Waititi's genius.
Yeah, exactly. But like it is, kind of the closest Thor character you get to the actual like comic book Thor is probably the first movie, and the second one maybe at times.
Let's talk about
Let's talk about sex.
baby. Let's talk about Chris Hemsworth, who plays
The titular character.
the titular character.
Tit.
Speaking of tits, he's got some good ones.
They're called pecs.
He's so hot. Oh my god. But yeah, so Chris Hemsworth comes in fairly a young actor in terms of where he is.
Yeah, he just did
career-wise.
like Star Trek, which is the first Star Trek reboot.
He just
I
did
think, yeah.
Dancing with the Stars, Australia.
Did he do? Did for real?
Was that
He
before?
sure did.
Damn.
It was before Thor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2006.
and you know what's crazy is that
Holy
that
shit.
was rock bottom. Like Dancing with the Stars is rock bottom
In
And
the U.S.
there he
Like
goes.
in the us.
It's funny that he
Jordan Peele us.
he is he's such a grounded guy, and he could play this as a super comedic thing, but because he is so authentic, it doesn't seem campy at all.
Yeah,
The
it
things
does
that
not,
he
actually,
does,
yeah.
especially when it's just a straight up fish out of water movie. The first time when he comes to Earth, and he's talking about cars for the first time. The film,
Well, well, and you know what's crazy is that this character for Chris Hemsworth has really propelled him into probably an A-list conversation of actors, where he's worked with Ron Howard and Rush, and where he's taking over franchises like The Rock
He's
and
in
Men
Cabin in the
Black,
Woods.
Cabin in the Woods with Joss Whedon and Drew
Men
Goddard.
in Black.
and-
Is that what you said?
Yeah, Men in Black. That's what I'm saying. He's like The Rock. The Rock. They call The Rock the franchise saver
Viagra.
or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, gets you real hard like a rock. Gets you between a hard place and The Rock.
and he definitely has a sense of timing. He's a good actor. Like it's a lot
That's
of
actually really good. Yeah.
a lot. We talk about all the depressing things that happens in these films, and they're major things.
Yeah, they are.
I think he loses a family member a lot
In every movie.
in every single movie he's in, which sucks. But yeah, let's talk about the world of what's it called, Asgard.
Asgard.
Let's talk about the world of Asgard. These guys are pretty powerful, right? They are.
Yeah, they're pretty much
keepers.
aliens, basically. Because I mean, it sounds like it's in the heavens or whatever.
Well, the
Which in a
Asgardian
way
myth
it
is the Asgardian myth is where the gods live. So like these people come from Norse mythology. So like when they landed, because in the original movie, I think they land in Norway. So like to fight a lot of stuff. So like apparently they're
the frost giants.
Yeah,
to push them back to Niflheim.
right. So they have all this mythology that started in there. Like, and I do kind of dig the fact that it's like otherworldly, but the so the 9 realms of the tree of life. Yeah, I can't remember them off the top of my fucking head, but they're there, and the whole world is like pretty vibrant. Like it's very what's the word for this? Like there's a lot of like it's I don't want to say medieval, but it's like very medieval inspired, I guess, or like very.
It's
Like, swords
well,
and
it's almost like Wakanda, where it's like it's very like
Retro.
very primitive, but so advanced
Ooh.
in a way. Like primitive, as in like sword, no guns, no nothing like that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But
Oh, okay.
they're very elegant and futuristic like, and it's like in Black Panther where like, oh, we have spears, we're about to stab you, psych, and they shoot like a gun or like a laser blast,
Right.
where it looks very not as advanced.
Right.
In weaponry or whatever, but they put on chainmail and it's like charmed or something,
yeah, it's definitely built around like Vikings.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they have axes and swords.
Valhalla,
Valhalla.
witness me.
Witness me. But yeah, so this was also a really big risk. Definitely sets up the stage for Guardians.
and other. Well, we didn't even know if this was gonna work too at first, which is like the crazy thing, because like Thor, the way the character of Thor is drawn before we saw Hemsworth, like, in his costume, was very weird. Like, it's a dude with like a metal hat on his head with wings, and it's a guy like
They all have wings. Captain America wings, and
it's a guy with a
Thor wings?
cape. Yeah, it's a guy with a cape, and he has like 4 dots on his chest, and he has like a hammer that like he swings around, and it was a dude. He turns into a dude named Donald Blake too. Like, he has an Earth disguise, like an Earth, persona.
which you
And-
get to see briefly in Ragnarok.
He's called Donald Blake, and then like he carries around an umbrella, and that umbrella, whenever he stomps it, like he turns into Thor, like the god Thor, basically. So like taking all that like weirdness that I just described right now, like out loud, into play, they made a really decent movie out of it, which is like pretty cool. And it turned me onto the Thor character,
Oh.
like the way it turned me onto
Chris
the Iron Man
Hemsworth
character.
hot.
It is, yeah. There's so much that happens on Earth. It's still a really, it is still really based in New York and all that good stuff too. But yeah, so eventually it grows and grows
England also.
more out of into their world. But let's talk about their world once more and talk about the villains of Thor.
Thor.
So in the first one,
You get the Destroyer armor, which is a very big villain in just the Destroyer in the comics. It's one of his main villains for sure, which is kind of disappointing on how they get rid of him so quickly. But he is in there. They also
he gets sent
have
to Earth.
yeah, and you have the Frost Giants as well, who are basically you get to find out that Loki's lineage is ends up being the Frost Giants, which is crazy because he's supposed to be Thor's brother
So
and he's adopted.
We'll talk
blah, blah,
about
blah.
Loki in a bit because he's kind of in a weird place between villain and
Yeah.
sidekick. But so Frost Giant. Then there's the sounds silly, but the Night Elves,
The
Dark Elves.
the Dark Elves.
Dark
sorry,
Elves.
doesn't it seem weird? Like
Yeah, and then they're also villains too.
Yeah.
It's not like they were created for specifically for the movie, but they're led by Malekith, played by Christopher
Malekith the
Eccleston.
Accursed.
Yeah, Christopher Eccleston in the Thor: The Dark World, the Ninth Doctor.
We also do have Curse.
Yeah, Curse also, who's
Yeah, who's
played
in that
by
movie.
Killer Croc, Academy Award winning Suicide Squad.
Adewale.
Yeah.
I forgot the last name. But.
Yeah, he's that's pretty cool to see that villain come
Yeah.
to life too. He was one of the cooler looking villains, and then finally in Ragnarok,
there's a couple. I mean, definitely Hela's the
Hela and
the big one.
Surtur.
but there's-
Searcher, yeah.
You have
Surtur-
also the
Jeff Goldblum?
Grandmaster. The
I was gonna
Grandmaster,
say like
Jeff Goldblum.
kind of a villain. Really,
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Definitely,
Yeah,
I mean-
one of the elders of the universe.
Yeah, not really a Thor villain, but a villain nonetheless,
Yeah.
sort of.
I think there's a lot of opportunity for his villains because they're all so out there and they're from different worlds. And again, some of them are his family, which is
Family Toretto.
Toretto. But this is actually a good in between time to talk about Loki. Loki can have his own podcast technically, but
He's going to have his own show eventually, too.
he's a loved member of the MCU. He's a fan fave.
Yeah, Tom Hiddleston, played by Tom Hiddleston, which is crazy because he originally auditioned for Thor. So there is an audition tape out there that you can type up on the Google.
Another trivia game.
On the YouTube. But yeah, he tried out originally for Thor and ended up being the heartthrob of the MCU. People
Yeah.
love the way, and he's got that little charm to him, which could be mischievous for some.
He straddles the good side and the bad side.
Don't say straddles.
He rides
You
hard.
But yeah, and he plays it well. He's even the villain in the first Avengers movie, which is really cool. It's a step up, and he's definitely worthy of.
He's
that
always
mantle.
he has just as much development, I think, as Thor throughout these films because he goes from being the jealous brother to being the villain to being
Yeah, and then
friend.
to helping out.
Yeah.
and then in 2 movies, kind of, and
Yeah,
yeah,
to literally have like a sacrifice in that last movie.
well, and it's crazy to basically like such the big range of how far the character of Loki goes, especially because Marvel has an act for killing all their villains, and here's that's one thing the Thor franchise you have to love about is that they really gave you a really solid one of the best villains in the MCU.
and he survives. And I'm sure they were surprised at the reception that Loki got and decided to sprinkle him in a couple other places too. But yeah, Loki's an in-between villain sidekick. Well, let's talk about his sidekicks. I don't want to say sidekicks. What were we calling them? Supporting cast? Let's talk about supporting cast.
Maybe.
Let's start
So
with
in-
Oscar-winning,
Natalie Portman,
Oscar-winning
first one.
Jane Foster.
Jane Foster.
who has a weird arc over the
sure.
three
A very
films.
incomplete arc, obviously, and I think that's due to the
Unfortunate.
fact. Yeah, it's
due to
very-
her.
It's unfortunate. It's due to lots of like factors. Really, it's due to not just the actress. Maybe it's due to the way people reacted to that storyline.
Maybe
and that's
even
also-
the consistency. There's different directors all the time, so she
Yeah.
may not even.
There you go. Yeah, and I think like it was unfortunate because the Jane Foster character is a very great character in the comics, and she's very important to the Thor mythology, or to the comic Thor mythology, obviously. It's just that something about the way the relationship was written in those first two movies just didn't click with like audiences, and it wasn't. It was kind of confusing at times, and it was also. It felt like something off of a checklist that you checked off in these superhero movies.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's where the Thor franchise really lacks. Where it lacks the most is it doesn't have that stereotypical love interest because. One, Natalie Portman didn't really work out, but then you have Lady Sif, who's like, "Oh yeah, like, I'm kind of into
edging.
him too." But at the same time, you have Valkyrie in the third one,
Yeah.
where you're like, "Who are you interested in? Are
friends?
you just hoeing around, Thor?"
Oh, jeez. Oh, okay. Yeah.
you know, what I'm
Don't
saying?
slut shame
Yeah,
Thor.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, you don't really get
Well,
a
they really-
consistent.
yeah.
How big of a love interest is Jane Foster in the comic books?
She eventually she's Thor. Eventually.
She's his main one up until
Damn.
she becomes Thor.
Oh,
So,
wow.
like, she does become Thor at one point.
Yep, 100%.
But like,
Because there's a lot of comic books where they have multiple
right, yeah, like
love
Superman
interests.
has
It's
like
just lovers. Yeah.
Lois Lane, Lana Lang, and
Yeah.
stuff. I get that, but like Thor, he does have multiple lovers. Actually, I mean Thor and Sif. I mean Lady Jane Jane Foster and Sif are the
Stop
only ones.
tickling me, Andrew.
Jane Foster and Sif are the only ones that I know that are obviously. I mean, they're kind of relevant because like we're watching them on screen. The Valkyrie character is a character in the comics. I'm not sure if that's a love interest though. Like it's
Maybe not.
because she's obviously not a love interest in the movies, even though they kind of hint at that. But they're like, made you look in a very Taika Waititi type of way. His other cast includes from these earlier movies, Dr. Selvig.
Dr.
Eric Selvig.
who also is a big part of the first Avengers movie as well.
Yeah.
You
have,
get Kat
Darcy.
Dennings
Yeah,
as Darcy. And I think that covers the first one, right? Agent Coulson again returns in the first one, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool to
Pretty
see
big
him.
part. Hawkeye.
Yeah, Clint
You're
Barton.
introduced to Hawkeye. He's not really like a sporting cast.
Yeah,
but, like, he's,
you get his introduction in the first Thor movie, which is cool. You get obviously Anthony Hopkins as Odin, which
Odin,
is crazy.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and Rene
Yeah,
Russo.
that's
Rene-
actually when I said Oscar winner, I was going to say Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
But I forgot Natalie Portman won one as well.
Boom.
And so did Kenneth Branagh, who directed the first one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Oscars everywhere. There's Oscars everywhere.
That's true. And then you do get Rene Russo as Frigga, which is pretty awesome. And you can't forget Idris Elba as Heimdall.
Heimdall, and then you get the Warriors 3 with Lady Sif and
Yeah, huge part.
Fandral,
Kind of
and
a
Volstagg
weird
and-
send off to those characters as well. I mean, a quick send off, I'd say.
It's kind of I took it as a little weird and a little bit almost insulting, but basically just like kind of wiping the slate clean of whatever didn't
Yeah.
work for the other movies.
Well, and you can see on how like they were trying to. It's almost like in what is it? Wrestling, where like they're using somebody to put somebody over, where it's like, oh, this is a villain. They come in and they want to make them look that much more powerful. Here's the Warriors 3 who like beat up. They fight next to Thor, and then she's like, bam, bam, you're dead. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't work for me. Also, I could see
Yeah,
what they were
it's-
trying to do.
But you're right.
but-
The Warriors 3 and Sif are like major supporting
Yeah,
characters.
so
of this-
I think they
of this
deserved a little bit
universe.
more of a nobler and more noble end, nobler.
Yeah.
Nobling?
Bleep, blurt,
Yeah,
bleep.
Figgy?
The noblest.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that goes with them having such different directors and, introducing characters, and maybe the next guy
and-
doesn't want to expand those characters.
And also, yeah, exactly. You can't fit everything into the movie. You know that
Yeah.
and so you need to cut things. So I can understand why Taika Waititi made the decision because Thor Ragnarok was excellent.
yeah.
Yeah, and then you do got Valkyrie, who's played by Tessa Thompson in the last movie.
Yeah. I don't even know who you add in the second one. Who do you add? You don't add anybody. It's the same people, right?
Yeah, same people as mainly.
You add that Darcy's boyfriend.
I think the second one's it really is a Jane Foster kind of movie, and
Right,
it's all
yeah.
about the women in his life because his mom is a really big, heavy part of that.
she
too.
almost beats Malekith herself.
Yeah, so that's why I think this is so melodramatic, and it really is a soap opera for Thor.
Until the third one, really.
Yeah, and that's why it's such a weird
And then hell
breath
breaks
of fresh air.
loose.
It's like, well, this is very different, but still has a lot of sibling stuff going on too.
Right.
For sure.
But yeah, that's a lot of good sidekick. He doesn't really have a sidekick per se, someone who follows him around everywhere, other than Loki. But he plays a very different role.
Right. Yeah. I
think.
get that. Yeah. There's a sidekick
Valkyrie
aspect of it. Yeah. To like Valkyrie and the Hulk.
and
in
the
third
Hulk
one,
is awesome. The Hulk's a big supporting character.
true,
Obviously,
yeah.
in
Third
Ragnarok.
movie, yeah.
The third movie, you get the Grandmaster with Jeff Goldblum, and you get Tessa Thompson. We already talked about her a little bit in
And
Valkyrie.
the aliens.
Yeah. Korg.
Korg, played by Taika Waititi.
You
Yeah.
stole the show, really, for a lot of
the
for a lot of
revolution has begun.
for a lot of Ragnarok bite. I'm going to Australia later this year. I'll be excited because it's so close to New Zealand, which is a different country.
They said
what
Australia is
I've been
kind of
told.
like if Texans were British.
I was
That's
watching.
funny.
I watched a movie set in Australia, and I thought it was a western, but no, it wasn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's
They said
Australia.
Australian was British. They're not
No,
British.
I said
though.
Texas.
If
were
Texas
British.
was British,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if Texas was in Britain, it'd be Australia.
because they had to
I wonder
settle
if-
the land. They had horses and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same. They had
exactly.
I really hope that we're
Aborigines.
not.
they have an accent.
I really hope we're not offending any Australians.
Mad
here.
Mox.
We do have quite a few listeners in Australia, and
Shout out.
good day, mate,
Oh my god.
to you all. Hope you have a.
Lovely day. I was
Mate?
trying to say like.
All right, let's talk about our favorite
No,
moment.
I was copying Tim Curry from Home Alone.
Let's talk about our favorite moment. Think about your favorite Thor moment.
Oh,
I
I
want you
already
guys
got
to
it.
look in the mirror right now. Get a hammer.
Mine's a very brief moment.
Oh wow,
Very brief.
that's what she said.
Very brief.
John, what's your favorite Thor moment?
So my favorite Thor moment actually comes back to the part where I was actually sold on this character. It comes from the very first Thor movie when they're fighting the Frost Giants. He is swinging his hammer around. He had just finished swinging it in kind of in very dumb looking fashion, actually.
Flying
nowadays,
straight up
No,
flying with it.
No, in because we were kind of watching it while we were talking. He was swinging his hammer like in a circular like he was swinging it around like the way you would swing like a sock or something like that.
A sock filled with.
I know that sock's not for your feet, baby.
No,
So-
yeah, like a sock filled with quarters.
So he's swinging around and he's hitting all these Frost Giants, and then at one point he sees that he's getting surrounded, and he lifts his hammer up into the sky, and actual lightning strikes it, and he's able to take out every single Frost Giant in the area. And that to me was crazy because I didn't know how they were going to work in that aspect of like him being a god of thunder, like
Dunda.
and it
Dun,
that
dun,
scene was like,
dun,
okay,
dun.
cool. Like it's really awesome. Like the lightning strikes it and he hits it and it looks perfect to me. So like that to me is still my favorite Thor moment.
Thunder. My favorite Thor moment
Your
has
favorite
to be
Thomint?
Thomint. My favorite Thorment is
He's eating Thor mints right now.
it has to be.
Like you're thinking about it while you're talking.
I'm gonna pass.
Officer, I can do mine if you need more
No,
time.
I'm just kidding. No, I have time.
Okay.
No. You're gonna hear me think, bitch. Just kidding.
Let's see.
My favorite Thor moment has to be in Avengers: Infinity War when they're
Ah.
all fighting, and
That
then
was my favorite one. I
Thor,
gotta think of a different one.
Thor
now.
comes down with the Guardians in badass fashion. Well, it's because I still watch that moment now, and I'm like,
Yeah.
still tingles. You know,
It's a crazy. The Russo brothers say that they planned that exactly because they knew they wanted him to appear at the moment of like critical tension. Like when you want him to appear the most, That's when they were going to deliver
Well,
Thor.
and that's what's crazy is that like you have like if Thor would have arrived on Titan, it would have been the exact same effect. Like, hey, Thanos, you're going to Pound Town, homie. Like, put him up. You know?
Pound Town.
Yeah. Like you got one.
You're going to Flavor Town,
You
Thor.
got a one-way dick ticket to Pound Town.
You're taking the F train to Assville.
Yeah, you going to ass guard. You better guard that ass.
That is a really good.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Because that's the actual like Thor, the actual Thor.
Yeah,
like,
and
who
he
actually has power.
You
over
can tell, like once he
the
has
storm,
Stormbreaker, yeah, Thanos shoots that beam with all the Infinity Stones, then Stormbreaker just plows straight through that like it's fucking tissue paper. So I think if he would have got there on Titan, not only would the Avengers have succeeded, but they obviously succeeded on Earth, and they were able to push back the Black Order and the Outriders. Obviously, he should have went to the other place,
And he's with Groot
Yeah.
and Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and-
a weird little. That's still the weirdest part about that scene is the fact that like
I think
he
they
shows
wanted-
up with those two.
They wanted to Ragnarok him,
Yeah.
Where it's like this is this is how we can keep that parade going.
that funny Thor going.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
right.
was really concerned about keeping the Ragnarok thing going, and I think the best thing they did was pair him with the
Yeah,
Guardians.
well, and
Yeah,
also
exactly,
you
yeah.
got to kind of wonder if maybe scheduling conflicts played into that because John put up he said a good point when we were watching Infinity War because it's on Netflix now, so we were watching it and he was like, well, there's CG characters with him, so maybe he was the one that was least available
by himself, yeah.
So yeah, they're like, oh, go film your scene with Peter Dinklage, and then that's pretty much it.
Bye, baby.
You know, but yeah, so maybe that played into it a lot.
Yeah.
But it was that moment was amazing.
Oh, so good. Such a good. That may be. Yeah, that's so good.
Bring
Oh, so it's
me
not your
Thanos.
favorite.
It's not my favorite anymore. It just dropped down. My favorite scene from the Thor films and
It's
with
like
Thor.
when he's shirtless in the pond.
Oh
and-
my god! The first time I see him, sure, no, I love his scene in Thor, and it's really kind of a group effort on the
Ragnarok.
bridge.
It's a Ragnarok scene.
Yeah, baby. Because he's full on God of Thunder. He's got lightning coming out of his wahoo.
Tell me, brother, what were you the god of again?
And he has Valkyrie.
Is that his
And,
butthole?
yeah. And the
That's
Incredible
true, though.
Hulk.
Thunder farts.
So it's kind of a group effort scene, but
it
it's
is
still
really
a really
cool.
good
Yeah.
scene
It's
for
the
Thor.
Revengers. All the Revengers.
really is.
Tearing ass.
It is a good, yeah. So that's my favorite Thor scene, and it's the last time we see Asgard the way it is. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's
also
an
a
amazing
Malta.
scene. It's pretty great.
God, a lot of good scenes. God, so many good scenes.
Good scenes from that movie. Some runners up would probably be Thor versus
Yeah.
Hulk in Ragnarok, which
And
is
it's-
pretty awesome.
Wait,
Thor's
but Thor
fu-
versus Hulk in the first Avengers was amazing too.
Yeah.
Like
It
everyone
was
wanted.
very brief.
Yeah, but everyone wanted to see that. Like that was
Yeah,
one of the
that
big
was, like,
things
one of
in
the
the
big
first
things, yeah.
Avengers, especially because the Avengers is based off of loosely based off of the Ultimate Comics. Nick Fury looked like Sam Jackson way before he was on the
Yeah.
film screen. So
Oh, and then that page where
where
he thunders
Hulk,
down.
Hulk is almost the villain of the first Ultimates book.
Yeah.
And basically the Avengers are trying to stop him, and then
Not
they're like,
controllable.
it's like all hope is lost. He beat
'Cause
us,
he
and
beat
then lightning
everybody.
strikes him in the chest like Sabretooth in the first X-Men when he goes
Oh,
flying
yeah.
through, and then it's Thor basically there, like then fucks his shit up.
Man, if Thor and Storm had a baby,
Yeah, it'd be the God of Thunder,
It'd be the
God of Thunder and Lightning.
Thor's
Go
so
Green
it's really
Lantern.
insane because every superhero has such a different fighting style and fighting technique. Thor has such a physical, hands-on type fight.
Right, yeah, he's
He literally
much more of
fights
a brawler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fist fights the Hulk.
It's very different than Iron Man. You know, the Hulk, who is just like
It's the same
rampaging.
thing, actually. Yeah. But,
Yeah.
but for Thor,
later
it's
on,
just
when
a-
he's more controlled.
But the Thor is
Hulk.
a little bit different because of the size difference, and like he's an actual like man. Like he's the, DC, Marvel's its own.
He's
thing,
a
obviously.
man.
Well, no, it's not. What I'm trying to say is like it's
you
like
are a dude. This is a man.
he's like basically before, because obviously we get into some other superhero esque character or superpowered esque human looking people like Captain Marvel and stuff. He was the first Superman character, I guess, for Marvel. Like, because you can't. Superman obviously belongs to DC and stuff, but like everybody else,
a demigod falls
Yeah.
to Earth, and like holy smokes.
yeah. And I'm going to talk about the values because the values obviously belong to Captain America, but like Captain America has like a weapon, which is that shield, and Iron Man has his gadgets and and stuff like that. Hulk is giant and green.
Thor is a god.
Yeah, Thor is just like it's meant to be a god, and he has that hammer. Like as
Really
his- I guess his
charismatic
thing.
guy.
Yeah.
He has some of the shared values.
Right, but he can't be hurt. Like, you can see people shooting him, or like a blast happens, or like a Sokovia falls on him, and he's still alive. But,
Well, so what his connection to Earth mostly was Jane Foster, right? And
right,
then
and that's the reason why he wants
now
to, like,
it's kind of
Yeah.
just to
up
stop
in the air. Yeah,
Thanos.
Now he has no home, so it's almost like I need to have a second home. So they were planning on taking the Asgardians to Earth, because they like him here, you know. So very interesting, and I mean it's pretty crazy. I think partially the mainstream success of this franchise helped God of War, I think, too,
or repopularize Norse mythology.
Yeah,
you would
right,
say?
exactly. Yeah, for sure. Where like things like that, where it literally Game of the Year or whatever, you know. So it's pretty cool to see that Nordic, I guess,
Influence.
influence
like,
and interest in
Norse is
something
back
like that.
because of Thor.
Norse,
is that what you're saying?
yeah. For sure.
And Neil Gaiman, who wrote a different book called Norse mythology.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But but very different from the Thor we're talking about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about wrapping it up. Let's talk about the arc of Thor. So from the very first, we talk about how it's kind of dramatic,
place,
but it is very different from one movie to the next, even through the Avengers franchises. But I mean, he definitely. I think though he takes his biggest character change in the first film when he stops becoming arrogant, and then afterwards
he kind of stays the same for a while. Like he kind
really
of
similar.
halts, yeah.
And even in Ragnarok, I think those comedic elements were there. They just never really focused on them as much as
Like
they
the
did
way
in Ragnarok. Because he was always funny. Like even in the first Thor film,
Because he talked.
he had good comedic timing. Yeah,
He like screams at the
He also like
frost
He talked very differently, and he was like, obviously like they literally played up that fish out of water thing, which I thought was pretty cool.
yeah.
But you're right. Like it wasn't like all those elements were there. They were just like kind of heightened in Ragnarok.
And they had an equal, really melodramatic moment that you're like, oh, damn, that's kind of hardcore. And it's weird, though, because Ragnarok does have a fairly important... I mean, his whole home planet was going to be destroyed, and his dad and his sisters trying to get over. So it's still there, I suppose. But, yeah, what do you guys think about the arc of Thor? And you can talk about whether or not you think he going to die.
I hope he doesn't, because I think Chris Hemsworth is built to last another 10 years
As his character.
as his character, and I think you can get now you've seen that he has a wide variety of things that he can do. Even if maybe Taika Waititi can do it again, maybe not. Maybe you want to move on or whatever. Maybe that's the thing about the Thor franchise, is you get a different director every single time or whatever. But I think it'll be pretty interesting, especially if he takes one of the a leading role as because I feel like he's been a side character in the Avengers and
The Avengers movies.
Yeah,
right?
he just shows up and then leaves.
Well, he's
in
almost like a Deus Ex Machina too.
Yeah,
like,
because
at
he's
some
so
points.
strong that you can't just have him around all the time. So he's like the one that's
Yeah.
following orders, or the side character in
Or
the back.
gets hurt or throws out, like,
just
gets
the
thrown out.
muscle. Yeah, exactly. So we're like, oh, I need to go somewhere else because the other realms need me. I'm the only one who can kind of do that, minus the Guardians or whatever. So I think it was cool to see him being pushed to the forefront. He had the most screen time in Infinity War out of the heroes.
Yeah, because he was so kind of, to me, not disappointing, but like I was really kind of disappointed that we didn't get him like kicking ass in the first two Avengers movies and in Avengers 1 or 2.
You know, so the first film he changes a lot, but in Infinity War that's the second time he changes the most. As a character, I think.
Yeah.
If anything, regresses too, because like
Yeah.
at one point, Thor Ragnarok, the entire message of that movie, I feel like, or one of them anyway, is like you don't need your hammer to do things.
You don't
And
need
then-
your home to be.
And then as soon as Infinity War comes around, he's like, I need my fucking hammer to
I
to
need
do
an
this.
axe. I need another weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost the anti-Infinity Gauntlet, though.
Yeah.
In a way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
But-
like it's a weapon to destroy. As opposed
Yeah,
to like,
and I don't know where they're gonna go after that. Like, is he gonna keep it, or is it gonna be done? But it's crazy. It gives him the power of the Bifrost, where it lets him go anywhere. So
Yeah.
it literally, like, if for the next one, if he keeps it, then the
Travel around.
the universe is your oyster. You want to make him part of the Guardians, and like one of the Guardians dies, and he joins or whatever, or
He sure can.
something
So-
weird like that.
Chris Hemsworth, his contract ended with Ragnarok, and of course the Avengers film. So he technically is not contractually obligated to make
to come back. Yeah,
any more Thor films. I know he wants to.
I think if they asked him, like I think it's all like because like everything in big budget filmmaking world is literally about money. So
Oh yeah. So guys,
So-
let's start a GoFundMe.
So, but I feel like if they, I think they left on a good. I mean, we won't know until we see Endgame.
Yeah.
But I think they left on a good enough terms that like if they wanted to ask him back, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be tough for
Yeah,
him
and,
to say
and
no.
Ragnarok is one of the highest grossing Marvel films. So
Yeah,
if-
definitely.
I think it's
one of the more
there's
popular
potential.
ones.
Yeah. I mean, if it was awful, I'm sure they would be like, "Well, no more."
Yeah.
But it was really good.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
It made a lot of money for him. Do you guys think he survives then the aftermath of Endgame? Does he make it to the end of the game?
I think so. I hope so. I think again, I think Chris Hemsworth it'd be smart to do it. Why not? You know,
Yeah.
why what's to stop you from being the next Robert Downey Jr.? You can get paid the most in the MCU if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can still happen. The universe is
Yeah, I want to see some badass team up scene between him and Captain Marvel, and they just take him to town.
go downtown.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think well, we can wrap it up if we want to. John, what are your final thoughts on Thor? What's your thoughts on Thor?
Thor is like when it came to this, like when we were, I think I mentioned this too, like I said in the early episodes. Thor was one of those characters that really surprised the shit out of me. I was not a fan going into the first Thor movie. I was pleasantly changed by it. Like I'm a Thor fan now. Like I would actually go out and buy. Like I haven't bought comics since, but like I would actually not like comics. I'm talking about like.
Well,
Thor
you haven't
comics,
bought
yeah.
any because you steal them.
You goddamn no, I don't steal them.
You borrow them, Xerox copy them, and then sell them at the flea market.
God damn it! No, I don't.
We're back to the flea market.
I am like super interested in Thor stories because of this franchise. So like like the way I said like with Iron Man and stuff. Like most of these characters that come about with these Marvel movies turn me on to Marvel. Me being like a DC person, like growing up and stuff. So I like the Thor franchise. Its mishaps, can be seen, but they're appreciated now. Like that we're at Infinity War Endgame status now. So like it's pretty cool, and I think the franchise, like for people who they're good movies. The third one is like obviously the best one. The two are kind of like
They're
like,
very different.
they're very different, and they're also like they're kind of like because the first one you can totally see like the budget running out, and then the second one is like a really cool idea but just very kind of done kind of wrong. But the third one is like amazing, and then the way the character kind of acts in its supporting movies, like the Avengers and stuff, like it's pretty awesome. I love the way they keep him as a Deus Ex Machina or like a ace in the hole or muscle, which is pretty awesome. So like Thor is pretty cool with me. Like he's I don't know, he's pretty great. You guys should check more of him out.
Check out Thor.
Check out his
Ripped.
Check out the
Jeans.
actual Thor too, like, and let us know if he's
Yeah.
as good as the character that we're talking about.
Andrew, what do you think about Thor? Your thoughts on Thor? 30 thoughts on Thor.
Yeah, I think John's right. I don't think I had a lot of attachment to the character of Thor before these movies. So it was pretty cool. I didn't watch a Thor cartoon growing up or anything like that, or I didn't watch the Bill Bixby series. I knew of them. It wasn't my first. It's not like I hadn't heard of him before, but again, I didn't know really what he was all about or his backstory or anything like that. So I think he...
It's like you didn't think he would work though, like just like talking about the character.
For sure, and I think now that they found something that works with him, I think they should try to expand a little bit more on that, and you have a little bit more of a place to stand, I think. And I think you can expand it definitely just like the way you did with the Guardians, where like if the Guardians are going to work out with you because of the whole James Gunn situation, then I think this is a good substitute to hold you over until then.
Yeah, I always considered Thor kind of the silly, like Aquaman-y superhero in this universe because he spoke a little funny, really colorful outfits, and you were like, this guy, oh boy, there's something going on with this guy.
Yeah, but he doesn't say bro like the way Aquaman does.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
says
true.
a lot now.
Bruh. Sorry, bruh.
He didn't say awesome as much. I mean, I say awesome a lot, but I'm not Aquaman. So
Nah,
shit.
dude. But yeah, so I think the original Thor definitely turned me around, and I think it's just because of the way they portrayed him, because they did a lot of good things right too in those originals. He's definitely a genuine character with genuine emotions, feelings. He wasn't just a parody of some king or something like that. So really, really good. And the way that the third film is, the way he is in Infinity War, shows just how much potential there is still left for someone like him. I feel like I think of all the characters in the Avengers, he's lost the most, and so that may potentially mean that he's not going to come back. Because what would he come back to? I mean,
you can always do just like a
he has nothing to live for.
happily ever after,
Yeah.
like to the other half of the Asgardians that weren't
killed.
killed.
We
yeah.
talked about this earlier, but the Asgards, like, they're already cut in half,
Yeah, they are cutting
and
half.
then they're cut in half again. So there's only a fourth of them left.
Oh, that's true.
Because
Yeah.
a ton of them die. And
I mean, they can go to a nice asteroid and just like set up shop
yeah.
there.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen! If Spock can do it,
There you go. Yeah.
anyone
With
can
like
do it.
4 people. Like
Yeah.
4.
They got to mate hard, baby.
Fucker in the
All right, so that's it for us. What do you guys have to plug?
We should introduce ourselves. We didn't introduce ourselves at the
Okay, so
top.
now now that we've told you the dealio. My name is Andrew.
Hey guys, it was John.
And my name's Emmanuel, and you've been
And together we are
listening.
Voltron.
I know. We speak with one mind. We're like those precogs in what's that? movie? Minority Report. Yeah, we shit out balls that tell you if someone's gonna die or not. Is that what happened in the movie? I gotta watch that movie again.
No.
It's like, oh, you're gonna die.
But listen to all the Duff and Pod shows. We got some exciting stuff coming up for you in this new year, 2019.
This new year, 2019.
Go to the Duff and Pod
New year, new
Patreon
me.
page. The Patreon page has been a little dormant, but we're gonna start, releasing stuff for that
Really
very, very
ramp
soon.
it up.
Actually, it's gonna be really awesome.
Gearing up.
Yeah,
got a
like
new-
a beer rising from it. A bear rising from its slumber.
A beer rising from its glass.
Yeah. Too much foam, baby.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna give you some awesome foam with a new show and
And
some
foam
other goodies
stands
as
for
well.
what does foam stand for, John? What's the acronym stand for again?
Free orgasms. Actually,
boy.
like as money.
God.
Free orgasms as money. So we don't have any money, but we'll, I think you get it. We'll give you something. It may be worth more than money
Right. Yeah.
on Patreon. We're prostituting ourselves on Patreon.
Holy shit.
We got some exciting stuff coming out on the sticker fridge front. We should have a new season of fan films going out pretty soon. Director Showdown ended its latest season, which Cronenberg versus Carpenter, which is pretty awesome. I did some episodes for that. I think that might be it. It's gonna be a new comic coming out pretty soon, but I will announce that when
John's
we get
writing
to
a
it.
comic book.
It's gonna be pretty. I mean, I'm helping out with the comic book.
They're
I'm not
asking
sure
him
if
to
the
take
actual-
over Superman.
That's
Bring him
not
back.
it at all. Actually,
No one's buying them anymore, so John's going to save them.
All right,
can-
it's your turn,
yeah.
Drew.
Confirm nor deny. So everything he said, what he said.
That's what he said. Plus,
And also, if you like Thor, then you will like some comic books.
if you like heroes or fantasies, have we got a store for you?
It's called Heroes and Fantasy. It's got both.
Damn.
What
What if I want...
I don't like being called Heroes and Fantasies because it kind of sounds like a porn shop. But H&F.
I'm the hero of my own porn.
Yeah.
But it's
H&F
fun.
is still the same thing.
I went to Heroes and Fantasies like 20 times in this last month, just walking around, looking at stuff,
Fantasizing about heroes.
fantasizing with heroes. Andrew was like, "Get out of here! You can't do that to that doll.
Get out of here. We're closed. But
You can't ruin that pop."
Yeah, that's the only reason we have a host because we just hose you down.
Yep, hose for days.
Yeah, but yeah, come by, visit us at Heroes and Fantasies. I'll hook you up with some more Thor stories if you like.
Thories.
Thories, exactly. I mean, again, if you want something a little different, I'll give you a little bit of the Jane Foster Thor or some Beta Ray Bill Thor.
Yeah, Thor's the woman.
For sure. Yeah. Thor is
Wow.
all.
100%.
Wow.
Wow, Mater.
Tomato.
Wait, is he in Cars?
Mater. Yeah, he's Lightning McQueen.
Okay, cool.
Ka-chow.
Ka-chow.
Wow.
Wow. Make sure to listen to all the Dolphin Pod shows. There's a lot of really good stuff out there. Yeah, just follow it on everywhere: Instagram, social media, Facebook. If you want a free Audible book, go to audibletrial.com/DelphinPod, whatever. But
You know how to spell this.
there's a lot of Delphin Pod stuff going on. It's really exciting. And we're giving stuff away for this podcast, Countdown to Infinity. Make sure to tell all your friends that it's back. Share it with them. Make sure we're on your feed because we're back, baby. We're back. Oh man, Morty, we're back now, Morty. Countdown to Infinity. Jesus, Morty, you look like shit, Morty. Oh God, Morty.
When did you start drinking more than Rick?
I don't know, right? Fighting hardy with Bacardi. Well, it's a new day.
It is.
Technically, if you look at the clock, it's a new day, new me. What are your commitments?
Same shit, different day. We were all shitting right now.
Same shit, different toilet.
At 11:59, we all grabbed toilets. And
We gotta for our midnight shit, the witching hour shit.
But
shitting hour,
and then we went into the next day. So it's literally same shit, different day.
We got to do this podcast all sitting on toilets.
Yeah, try that with your friends, folks.
Sitting on the toilet.
Oh my god. Okay, cool.
All right, guys.
Bye.
We'll see you at the movies.
Later, guy. Oh, copyright infringement there.
No, okay, I did a Rick and Morty thing. So
Oh shit, my bad.
the bets are off.
Later.
You're late. You're missing an eye.
This isn't over.
I think we should disband the Revengers.